All right. Hello, world. Welcome to No Brainer. It's me, it's Zach, and my sidekick, because he's grumpy tonight.
Do not demote me again. I worked so hard for this.
I don't even think your mic's on because you hold it there and it doesn't sound any louder, but that's all right.
It's on.
All right. It's my co host, my compadre, my.
How about dearest beloved friend Derek?
Oh, boy. Now we're getting out of hand. We got Derek. We got D Rex in the hizzle. Hi,
How
Derek.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm fabulous, obviously.
You're
How
good.
are you?
Yeah, I'm working my way into positive town here
That's
after our
right.
little
Because when you're in
studio
Jacksonville,
mishap.
you're always positive town. So we got a little fluke on the technical side. We're fine. We're going live, hopefully. And if we have to re-record, we'll just call up our guest because he's very anxious to chat with us. We have a special guest tonight. His name is Coach Brian Parana. Put your teeth into that one. And he's from Akron, Ohio. He is a health nut. He is a well, you tell us, Brian. What are you? Tell us exactly.
Well, if we want to get technical, health, performance coach, if we want to get into the actual application, more of a life coach, coming from a personal trainer background, coming from a gym owner background, and talking to thousands of people over the last 20 years, I have I wear a fair amount of hats, and whatever the person that I'm with needs is what I need to problem solve, troubleshoot to create the results, the outcome that they are after.
So
Well,
are
you know,
you
I'd like to welcome him to No Brainer for his first appearance on the show. So,
Yep.
you know,
Happy to be here, fellas. And audience.
that's right. All right, enough of them. Audience, be quiet. Okay, so you're in Akron, Ohio. We found each other through a podcast forum.
Yes.
I was looking for guests for our show because we love to interview interesting entrepreneurs. We've had doctors on the show, we've had pastors, we've had health coaches, we've had another doctor. So we love chat. That must be a sign. We're maybe going a healthy route. Derek's trying to get me healthy. I don't know if it's going to work. But we just love chatting with people who are making it. And do you have your own podcast?
I do not have a podcast yet. This year is the year of the personal brand.
So I have a side gig. I'm starting another podcast. Actually, I found that there's a need for coaching in podcasting and how to become a podcaster with equipment and how to figure out your topics and enunciate and get your brand out there. And so my coach is teaching me. We had my coach on last week. Shout out to Mark. He was an amazing guest. We're working together to get my off the ground. So people who want to get into podcasting, especially people who are in sales or in my background is sales and my background is also radio. So that type of person I want to get in there, but I don't care. I want to get anybody. I really, if you got something to talk about that's amazing, I don't care. Maybe it's not amazing. I went to this podcast expo. I talk about this often. I brag about it. I loved it. It was the best show I've been to. It was 3 days, 4 days, right, Derek? Was it 4 days? Yeah, 4 days.
yeah, it was like Thursday through Sunday thing.
Yeah. And I learned so much. I had such a great time, and I realized I was on another show Derek and I were on, and we realized we need to go in a different direction and learn so much stuff. And oh my gosh! But anyway, I got so much to share. But that's enough about me. That's the future coaching with Zach. Well, actually, it's going to be called No Brainer Podcasting with Coach Zach. So tell us about you, Brian. What got you into the fitness world? I'm into fitness. I've fitness cheeseburger in my mouth usually, but tell us what got you there. Did you used to were you a bodybuilder? Did you perform? Did you do anything like that? I have a friend who's actually on American Ninja Warrior.
Okay.
And those guys are insane.
Yeah.
Is that something you're trying to aspire to be? Just tell us all about whatever. We're diving in, and
Yeah.
Derek will have lots to pick your brain because he used to be some sort of Mr. Bodybuilder.
Well, I came in coming from high school. I was running, actually. So track,
Nice.
cross country. My good friend still today, Dan, he got me into it. And then
Yeah,
after that, it went into running longer. I ran on the cross country team in college. And then I ran into these guys that were doing ultra marathons. And next thing you know, I ran a 50 mile. And then I'm running marathons. And that was in the course of 17, 17 through about 22 ish, 23. Very heavy endurance guy.
yeah,
Ran a Boston Marathon even. I
nice.
was,
Wow.
yeah, I was fortunate that was my second
What's the
marathon.
Boston? Is that
God, that's a hard course.
how many miles is that?
26
That
point
is
like two?
26.2.
Two.
Two.
Yep.
6.2.
Yep. I ran the JFK 50 miler before that. And
You
my
run
fastest
50 miles
marathon,
in one
yeah.
shot? Like,
Yeah. That was an approximately 8.5 hours, give or take.
So let's talk about running, because running is not my forte, never has been. Even when I was big in sports, I was a bunch of letters in high school, and I was not a runner. I was,
Yeah.
I was an outside linebacker. I ran short distances and hurt people. That was my job. Baseball, I was a catcher, so I didn't have to run anywhere there. I did go out for track and field, but I threw shot put and javelin. They
Yeah.
would make me run. I hated it
Oh,
for the
sure.
action. But
Yep.
one of the things that I'm learning now, or I learned later on in life, is runners, you guys hit the wall. So when you're running a
There's,
50K or 50 miles,
yeah.
it, how many walls do you have to hit before your
Uh,
body's like, I'm done?
it's the walls that I remember hitting were in my first marathon, hometown Akron Marathon opening year. It's been going on for 20 years now or something.
Sure.
We ran out of the Goodyear blimp dock. That's where it started. If you've ever seen the blimp floating around, yep,
I
that's
know the blimp. Yeah, heck yeah.
yeah, that's right. We see it in the sky every so often. We're running out there. I'm on 250. I'm fast, but I'm not fast in a sense. If you're running 3 hour, my fastest was a 256 marathon, but my buddy ran a 222 at the London Olympic trials. That's pretty fast. But
wow.
so I'm running 250 pace at halfway. We climb out of what we call the valley here, up through San Run Parkway, and that's when Smiles 8, 17, 18, 19 hit, and by 20 I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I had fist knots in my hamstrings, my calves, my quads, and somehow I managed to hobble the last 10K home and qualify for Boston. But that was a wall that I really ran into so
Mhm.
much. I would just bend over, heavy breathe. I wasn't even going fast at this point. My
Right.
muscles were just depleted.
Yeah.
I'm heavy breathing to get a lot of oxygen in me. And then all of a sudden they finally let up. And you literally couldn't move because of the knots were so predominant. You could feel just a baseball in your hamstring.
Were you cramping up, or was
Yes.
it dehydration? Was it just
All of
that
it. It was
too much
max
fatigue?
effort, dehydration, cramping, no more glucose in your muscles. Somehow I'm able to bend my leg after breathing for a minute, and then I'm running, like throwing my leg out, whichever way I can run that gets my body to move forward. So I've
Right.
got this like penguin thing going on. And but I would then I'd start running again, and then the cramps would come, and I'd slow down a lot, and I'd throw my leg out again, and point my toe weird, and I could run again, and yeah,
Oh
that that
wow.
was that was
How
definitely the wall forming the
how
wall.
would you explain to somebody, possibly you're coaching, when that comes, the mental
Oh,
awareness that you actually have to not drop down and just give up?
Oh yeah, you literally could have just fallen down and just stayed there and just like screw it, I'm done. Uh, it was my first one, and I was so determined. I had been training for 9 months. I was all in. I was crossing the finish line. It didn't. There was
Somebody was
not. There was no
dragging you
option out.
across. If you weren't walking or running, you were getting dragged across. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I would have crawled. I would have been a 5 hour marathon just crawling my way through. Whatever. That's what I would have done though.
Well,
Derek,
what
hey
you
Derek, what's
asked
the
Zach was
longest?
actually a very literal thing. You asked him uh, literally what he was thinking and what his mind was telling him to do. When you hit that wall, it is a determination of what your mind actually tells your muscles in your body to do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's if you want to rate that on a scale of 0 to 100 in a literal sense, 100%.
Sure.
yeah.
Your mind at that point tells you what's going to happen because, like Brian said, at that point your glucose, your electrolytes, your stuff is so whacked out of proportion. Even if
Yeah,
you prepare, even if you're used to it,
yeah.
even if you have the stamina, doing that much strain at one time, I'll go off on a limb saying I just don't think that's healthy at that point. You know
No,
what I'm saying? Long term. I mean,
running
don't don't
26 miles isn't
don't get me
healthy.
wrong, Brian. I'm like I love a good 10K half marathon, but
Yeah,
the marathon itself or the 50, like the body,
yeah,
who knows what the body was designed for, but you're already in a top 2-3% of all people at that point. So who could just
right.
say, hey, I ran a marathon, and not to mention Boston, not to mention a sub 3 hour marathon, for any listeners who don't really or who haven't ran that or who don't understand the magnitude of that, Boston is an extremely hard race. Um,
Yes.
Actually, Boston was just a few weeks ago, and London was
Yep.
just this past weekend, right? Monday or
Yep.
Sunday.
Yep. Yep.
And just the times you said you had a friend at 222. Well, 222 in London 5 years ago would have been a top 10.
Yeah.
Nowadays, these guys are, I think it's partially the shoe technology. You're getting the Alpha
Yeah.
Flies out and the Adidas that are just basically
Right.
getting these guys that if you don't get close to a 2 hour, you're not placed in top three. It's a totally different game and it's accelerated
Right.
so fast. But, when Brian kind of explained hitting the wall, that's a literal thing your mind decides if you're going to get over or not.
Yeah. Very much so. And I think the training, the determination to cross the line, my personality and work ethic were the things that showed up for me in that moment. There wasn't. It was a non-option. I wasn't even. It wasn't even in my brain. It's like, oh, I'm losing time right now. I can't move forward any faster right now, but hopefully I can bend a leg and wobble my way through and then it released and started working again. So
When
but
you're running these marathons, and I'm gonna a literal thought. What is going through your mind literally while you're running it?
oh I haven't ran one for it's been a minute. I got out of marathons. I went into triathlons. I honestly I got bored of just running
Yeah,
doing the
it's
Forrest Gump
boring. It's
thing.
boring just thinking about it.
Yeah. I moved on to triathlons and I opened up CrossFit gyms, and that's where I ended up moving for a couple years too. But as you're running, you're monitoring your body, you're paying attention to your pace, you're monitoring your hydration, where you're at on the course, when is the next water stop, am
Right.
I having enough fluids, and enjoying the journey, right? I mean, ultimately it's a journey, right? Life is a journey, not a destination, right? If you're going to really and truly enjoy any of it, because out of all the marathons, they're insignificant at this point with the amount of even number of the Akron Marathon that they've had, about 20 or so. And I was just a participant in it a couple times. So it's really just for you to validate to yourself that you can do it, you can accomplish it. And I think that's oftentimes what I'm always working toward with my clients or people
Right.
I do work with. It's like, how do we
Right.
get to the goal line, the finish line, and stay there?
So, as a coach now, life coach, is that more with health and wellness, or are you actually mental, you know,
Well,
teach them how to think?
yeah. I definitely start with the health and wellness aspect, fitness, nutrition. We work on time management, we work on stress management, but mindset is a big thing. If you're 40, 50 pounds overweight and you have diabetes, or you went to the doctors and they're trying to put you on medicine, you're like, wait a minute here. In my brain, I think I'm 20, but I'm actually 45 and I'm pretty unhealthy right now. There's mindset. There's things that we have to do. Ultimately, it's between here, anyways. This is what's deciding if we're putting food in our mouth, if we're going to move our bodies, if we're going to drink enough water today, if we are going to go to bed on time and not just watch no brainer YouTube on repeat, binge watch
Hey,
it.
Zach,
One
Well,
cut that,
episode
some people
to
do
edit
that.
that
another.
part out. Edit that part out. We need the watch hours. So
Yes, get that time in.
kind of coach, man.
but
Seriously.
but but ultimately it's all here, right? And when you start talking to someone, you can start to understand what they're thinking and their thought process and their behaviors, their habits, their routines that have gotten them into the place where they're at least specifically with nutrition or health and fitness and activity and all. But then also you can see other areas of their life where they might be successful. So
Right.
many of my clients are, business owners or doctors or whatever. They've accomplished a high level in a career, a business, their professional life, but at the cost and sacrifice of their health.
Yes. And I can attest to that because I was in the auto industry for almost 30 years. And sitting behind a desk all day,
Yeah,
drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, eating garbage,
yeah,
and that was part of the lifestyle. And in 2017 I had to have brain surgery, or 2018. And when they wheeled me into the OR, I was 340 pounds.
yeah,
And it was, a lot of the weight was because of the medicine I was on for the issue I
yeah.
had going on.
That
It was
doesn't
horrible.
help.
Now, when I came off and I lost, so I got back into the gym and I started working out and getting bigger and bigger, and I love it. And then a couple months ago, I wrecked my shoulder,
Ah,
which I've been going. I don't know if you saw
yeah. I saw you with your
Mark Man.
PT. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
on. Yeah, working on it,
So
which is
he
good.
he's realized that it's actually not my shoulder. It's my neck is pinching a nerve that's causing my shoulder to,
Ah,
to do it like this. It still hurts.
yep.
Um, and so I, worked with him on that. But the problem is I got back in the gym and I'm 55, 56 years old, and I'm working out like I'm 18. And everybody
Yeah.
yells at me for that. And they're like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I'm like, "Dude, I got to get jacked again." And they're like, you're not 18. Why are you? And the funny story is, though, the hilarious thing with the final straw that broke the camel's back was not like me trying to bench 500 pounds or anything like that. I was
Yeah.
doing dumbbell overhead curls, or presses rather, 25 pounds. Just
Oh yeah.
just that, and
That's-
boop, pop my shoulder, and oh my gosh, the pain was so bad. But anyway,
Ah,
so
yeah.
but it is a mental mindset. It took me out for a little while. I got comfortable sitting on the couch eating chips, watching
Yeah.
TV again.
Yeah.
And I've watched my weight go up. And it's funny, I made a joke about it, saying, I hurt myself, so I gained 15, 18 pounds, whatever it was. And my pastor, who's a very good friend of mine, he's been on our show. He's like, "Yeah, that's what it was, because that workout you keep doing with your hand to your mouth, that's not gaining more weight."
Gotta get those curls in.
That's
Gotta
right.
get those biceps.
I do the 40-ounce curl.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
this is I'm having bubbly. I love my bubbly.
yeah,
But
yeah. I've got
yeah,
my 40 ounce as
there
well.
you go. Yes. But so I actually at one point looked into becoming a fitness coach. Two reasons. Number one, because it really interested me, and I was
Yeah.
really gung ho. And the gym that I work out at wanted me to come work there, and they couldn't pay me enough. But No, no, all joking aside, they really couldn't afford me. But I thought about doing it, and it also the second reason was because it would really help me get back into shape, so I understood what I was
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
And I looked into it. It unfortunately, my problem is Derek likes to call me I have shiny ball syndrome, which is completely wrong. Derek, it's shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
I see the sparkle and the glitz, and I want to go for it, but
Yep.
you know, so that my whole fitness career went out the window. But I do have many friends who are into it and working out. I've got some guys, and they all tell me, they're like, dude, stop trying to work out like you're 18 again or you're 21.
Yeah.
You're just
No
gonna keep hurting
brainer
yourself. And yeah, it's no
uh,
brainer.
thought
I
process here.
my goal was to bench 300 pounds again. I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
very, very close, and then I hurt myself.
Yeah.
And what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah, at your age or any age above maybe 30, 35, that's a dumb goal, right? So if you
Oh
watch, like, I don't know if you know who Mike O'Hearn is, right?
yeah, he's
You remember American
enormous.
Gladiators back in the early 90s? He was tight.
Oh, loved it.
He is
Right. So
ginormous.
if you ever peruse YouTube or you look at fitness stuff, Brian, I'm sure once in a while you come. I mean, the guy looks like the guy is on so much HGH, it's unbelievable, right? I mean, he looks like he's 22, he's probably 52, and
Yeah,
not a line on his face, and all the power to him. He does a great job, but and the guy's just probably aesthetically the best physique on earth, just in terms of ever all put together, and just
Yeah.
incredible. And what he'll say, honestly, is, training wise, is your goals when you get older have to be functional, have to be really to get in the gym and not get injured. Because if you
Yeah.
think about it, Zach, if you come in and you say, listen, okay, I'm 55, I'm really overweight, we got to bench 300, we got to be strong, that's great. But when you get hurt, notice the word when, now everything else, any gains or momentum you make is put off or
Yep.
completely derailed, because
which
you've
happened.
now injured yourself and
Yeah.
you've made it unsustainable for your body to actually put up with that workload.
Yes, I
A
realize that.
simple no brainer comment that I would always tell my clients is, can I work out tomorrow? Very simple question that keeps you in bounds with what is important to you to be doing today so you can keep going tomorrow. Because if you were my client, like, bro, why'd you do that? Now we can't work out, or we can't move, or we have to look at other things to do to, oh,
Right.
your knee hurts, you can't get your steps in. Okay, that challenges our situation now and
Right.
makes it harder for us to get to the goal.
I will
Well,
say my knees hurt every day, but because of what I do for a living, I walk all day long, and it's through bumpy backyards and stuff like that when I'm out
Okay.
measuring. But I have found, good footwear. I've
Okay.
spent the money and
Yeah.
tried different. The only thing I haven't broke down and bought the Hokas, because everybody keeps telling me they're the best. But I
Yeah.
got top notch with my Brooks. I think they're pretty daggum
Yeah.
good. I
Okay.
call me old man shoes because all us old guys wear Brooks.
what I don't
I
understand,
haven't had
Brian, is
retired New
that
Balance yet.
we're willing to listen to a lot of advice and a lot of people and a lot of trends, a lot of infomercials, a lot of marketing.
Yeah.
Why aren't we listening to our body?
Well, we think we're going to fix it by listening to
No,
those
no,
things
no.
and
Like,
doing it.
again, no brainer statement. You're over the age of 30. Your body will tell you
Yeah.
more than doctors, more than supplements, more than even Brian, I dare say. Don't shoot the messenger. But your body will tell you, hey, my shoulders hurt. We're not going to be doing overhead cable presses for
Right.
till it's not. Now we
Right.
are going to look at different stabilizing muscles, different muscles that push in the opposite direction or whatever,
Yep.
or actually the inverse of what that muscle is, and get that healed or go see someone. But we're not going to do that movement. We're not going to injure that.
Right.
We're not going to aggravate
Right.
that muscle, that tendon, whatever it may be. We're still going to be active. We're still going to circulate blood, but we're not going to injure ourselves and derail our progress, and we're not going to see that mindset as slowing our progress.
Right.
It's actually increasing it, because you're avoiding that energy or that injury that'll put you out completely.
Right. 100% agree with that. And then also you got to look for the root cause. what is actually causing the issue? What is the underlying problem in and of itself? Is it the shoulder or is it the neck? And it took your guy just a minute or two to figure that out. Why? Because he asked you questions and then you listened to your
Right.
body and
Yeah.
relayed that feedback to your guy, which then he says, this isn't working and this kind of work, but oh, this makes total sense now. I think it's up here, not down here.
Well, yeah, and it's funny, one of the tests he did, and I don't consider myself a weak dude, but I guess this proved his point. Was he had me sit, and then he grabbed my
Yep.
arm and pulled it, as hard as he could towards him. Did that 3 or 4 times, and he said, "All right, now lay down." And then he did it. He couldn't move my arm. He's like, "Yep, that's your nerve." He's like, "That's not
Yeah.
your shoulder. That's not that's your neck. You jacked yourself up." Funny it was, I was going to a chiropractor, which I love chiropractors. My best
Yeah.
friend's a
Me too.
chiropractor. I've been the one I was going to was making it worse. So he feels that he injured it. So so I just had to, whatever, find a new chiro. I got to find a new chiropractor. I'm very, very much into, my wife and I are very much into functional medicine and holistic
Yeah.
and chiropractors. And I like acupuncture. I don't know if you do, but
Yep.
um,
And all
it's
that
all
stuff.
that stuff goes hand in hand. And I am on meds. When I came out of brain surgery, my body was a little cattywampus. I had a stroke from it and a couple other things, and they put me on some different meds that I'm working to get off. And I have one doctor telling me, no, it's grafted into your DNA. And then my cardiologist is like, no, we're going to take away that. You don't need that anymore. But we
Mhm.
found that you've got some cholesterol in you, so we want to put you on a stent. And I said, hold on, why don't you give me 6 months to do it holistically?
Yeah. Let's do
And if
that.
it doesn't work, then let's
Right.
discuss it. And
Right.
my cardiologist was like, okay, we will. And
Yeah.
I came back in, got retested 6 months later, and he says, what are you doing? Because whatever it is, it works. And so keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
fish oil, and a couple other things. And it's just like, why would I want to take? I read what Stanton is. And I don't know if that's a pharmaceutical actual name or if that's the type of drug or whatever.
Right.
So I'm not trying to down it, but I read the side effects and stuff, and I was like, no, sir, I don't want that in my body. I've got enough
Right.
issues going on. It may work for other people, not me.
Yeah.
You know. And
Oh, I sent over something in there, a chat thread. There's a resource that might be able to find someone in your neck of the woods. This is one of my people that does the body work like this. She's
okay,
into she's very high skill, lots of modalities, and she's I would ask her to talk to my clients that had issues, and then she said, Brian, you need to send them to this resource to go look for someone that's like me. And it's not in the think it's a dry needle directory, but it's not about dry needling. The reason that we're looking there is that if someone knows how to dry needle, they probably have 8 other tools and methodologies and ideas and 20 plus years poking, prodding, pulling, and snapping and cracking someone to be able to. You walk in their door and they say, "Oh, you got this thing here," and you're like, "How'd you know?" Like, "Oh,
right,
I saw it when you walked through the door." and
yeah.
and that's they just have a high level skill. That's what I hope to have with any of my people when I'm talking to them. Like, hey,
Have you ever been dry needled?
oh yeah, the lady that sent me that link, her name's Sarah Cap, but she's probably 1,000 times.
Yeah, so. And I asked because Dr. Dan, who was on our show, he did
Yeah,
it, and I said, "Well, what's the difference between this and acupuncture?"
yeah,
And I guess one is in a medicine and one is in
right,
orient medicine.
right,
He says it's pretty much the same thing.
yeah,
Um, and my like I said, my best friend's a chiropractor. I've never asked him if he does it, but he does like cupping and a bunch of other stuff.
yeah,
Every time I
yeah.
go see
That's
him,
what you'd find.
every time
They
I go see
cup,
him,
they
they
grafted
sneak up
in.
on me and cup me in the neck, and I got a big
Yeah,
hickey. And I'm like, thanks, bro. He
yeah,
does,
yeah.
but
yeah.
we're
The A
you
quick difference how I explain it
yeah,
is dry needling works on a muscular level. meaning you have a knot or scar tissue or something going on with the muscle. They'll poke you with the needle. It
Yeah.
will cause a inflammation reaction. It'll
Yeah.
bring new blood flow, new blood cells, start repairing it. Whereas acupuncture is an energy system solution, and it's going to help clear up energy pathways, and that's where the ancient science goes way back on that.
Well,
Those would be the easiest way to differentiate those two.
when Dan dry needled me, he would every once in a while he'd hit something and I could feel it
Yep.
all the way down to my knee. I was just like, whoa, and he's like, no, that's what you want. I was like, oh,
Yep.
so
That's
cool.
the release.
Derek,
Yep.
you ever been dry needled?
No.
No. Wow.
I'd be laying there. Is it okay to move now? Because I didn't want to move with a needle in me.
Hey, Derek, where your store is located, you probably could get dry needled out back by some of them. He's in a rougher part of town.
I'm more of the mentality that people always look for something magical, and
Oh yeah.
that is fantastic. So acupuncture, dry needling, sure. Like I'm pretty optimistic and open minded about different techniques, procedures, cupping, massage,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm also very much blanketed of the mentality that if you're not doing the basics right, you're wasting your time. So for example, like a classic example would be like, what is the next fat loss pill I can try, but I've never counted a calorie? Well,
Right.
guess what? You are wasting your time, you're wasting your life,
Yep.
you're
100%.
wasting
Money.
you are going off in such the wrong. So I like to make sure like foundational things are proper first
You
and
speak
then
my
move to the
language,
next.
T-Rex.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like if you wanted to take 500 milligrams of testosterone enanthate weekly to get huge,
Right.
but you had no clue about
How much protein
anything
you're
with.
eating?
Yeah, you had no macro nutrition information.
Yeah.
You never counted calories. You don't know HPTA axis hormonal. You
Right.
don't know anything. And you're just willing to say, let's just stick a needle in my butt.
Right.
You're not gonna. I mean, yeah, it's definitely whatever you do, it's going to enhance that. But you're so far lacking in foundational bandwidth that you're not there yet. You haven't exhausted 10 years
Right.
worth of fundamental foundational things that you need to get right first. And so, like, when I was really big into fitness nutrition, I did some physique shows. I've run a marathon. I've done all that stuff.
Okay.
It's and now I'm getting older and kind of more balanced and more functional and enjoying good food too much, which is a problem. But regardless, um, I think that like anytime when I was super fit and walking around with a six pack, sub 8% body fat, just crazy shredded, and I was never certified nutritionally or training wise, so I never really officially did this, but I would help people here and there with
Yeah, sure, sure. Why are you
nutrition.
so
And
jacked? Well, this is what I do.
right, and the number one thing was, and this is like it would turn so many people away, like they would crouch their shoulders and walk away, like I could never do that. I'm like, I would always say you have to count calories. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so much work. I said, yes, it is, but here's the good news. Since everyone always underestimates what they eat, if you just count them for 2 weeks, you're going to get such a more
Oh
closer
yeah.
sense of what you put in your body. You're
Yep.
just going to be able to guesstimate within a 10% instead of within a 50% for the rest of your life. So get a food scale, a cheap
Yep.
one for $15, and count your calories. Weigh your food and count your calories for 2 weeks minimum,
Yeah.
and learn macronutrients,
Yep.
and you will have a foundation that 90% of people aren't willing to put in the work for a temporary time to aid you in life. So like now, even if I put on weight, I put on like 35 pounds and now I'm down maybe 10 and have 20 to go over the last 6 months just from bad eating and
Oh yeah.
having a couple too many beers here and there. And I know, but it's not a mystery to me of how to undo that and how to
Right.
reverse that and when to
Right.
stop. For me, it's just like, okay, I know the carbohydrates I'm putting in my body. I want to eat a bowl of mini shredded wheats frosted shredded whatever. And guess what? That is holding so much water and adipose tissue and unneeded energy that needs to cut out for that stuff to
Yep.
flush out. Just basic information that you have to know, and then you have to have the resolve to implement it.
Right.
And
I
so
would definitely agree with you.
so
Well,
it's
and
like, so most of the people don't have the education or the foundation, and they go off on all these really technical crazy things that I think are great, but I just think they're beyond where the person is in that moment.
A hundred
Because even
percent.
when you have the foundation, you still have to have the resolve. And Brian, you know, the resolve to run a marathon, the resolve to be sub 10% body fat is a total mental game. Like you start getting
Yes.
that depleted, your mind plays tricks on you, man. Like the oasis in the desert, Zach, literally. And if
Yeah.
you don't have the foundation and the resolve to get to that point, you can stick anything in your body you want, but you ain't gonna
Yeah.
be changing much.
Not for the long term.
Right.
I think basics. I always will remind people of John Wooden, the famous NCAA coach. He always started every team out with, "Hey guys, we start with tying our shoe first.
Mm-hmm.
right,
We don't do that, and you guys say shoe come undone, and you trip, and you cause us a play, and that cause us is the game potentially. Something so simple and so calorie aware. One of the first things I do, whether some people, I read people, where are they at in their resolve, right? And then I have to do a good job of building them up, and that
Mm-hmm.
depending on where they are. If it's there's some like a high flyer, go getter, a high performer type person, I can leverage that resolve quickly. We need to do X, Y, Z, and they're going to go do that. But if I have another person that doesn't have that stuff, they've been overweight for a very, very long time. They don't even remember what healthy looks like or feels like. All right, let's start being calorie aware. Let's start paying attention to what, look at a nutrition label first before you put this thing in your mouth. And
right.
people, like you said, it's everyone's looking for these things. The Ozempic is all the rage now, and I will assure you, yes, it can do a job of losing weight. It's a diabetic medicine, but also, is that something you want to live with for the rest of your life at $1,000 a month or something for a shot or
Zach,
whatever? But even
Zach.
I
even
don't know if
it'll
it's like
go back to, are do you even know how much food you're putting in your mouth? And if that's not the case, you're still going to default into reversing back to more where you are, because those are the habits, those are the behaviors of the underlying persona that's going to shine through at some point. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not in a year from now, but 5, 10 years from now, the weight will creep back on.
well, you know, it's funny. The biggest excuse I hear from a lot of people is, "Oh, eating healthy is so expensive."
Oh yeah,
And
I hear it all the time. Obviously,
I mean, well, then don't shop at Whole Foods or something.
It can
Just
actually
go
be
to go to
cheaper.
Greenwise over in
yeah,
Publix, whatever.
yeah,
And it, I actually started doing the research and thoughts towards it. We get pre-made meals for ourselves at dinner time from Factor, and this is
yeah.
not a commercial for Factor by any means,
Sure.
but um,
I have my thoughts on factor meals.
I have my thoughts on all those meals because they got to have
Yeah.
stuff in them that makes them last. But it is what it is.
Oh, the fat content usually is what I'm looking at first.
I go with I do the keto, the high protein, low carb side.
Yeah.
My
Just
wife,
make sure that it doesn't have your daily fat intake in one serving with protein and just vegetables. You're like, why does this have 50 grams of fat in it? This doesn't make any sense.
right,
Yeah, don't pick those. Those are not going to help you.
right, but if but the meals that we get are smaller than what our normal portions would be,
Oh,
or
of
maybe they're
course.
actually proper portions, and we're just used to being Americans and eating American portions.
Yep.
No,
I'll
I
go
think it's
to
that. I think it's that people say eating healthy is more expensive because you get less calorically for your buck. Traditionally, let's say, I can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, supersized everything, which I don't think they do anymore, which is just a
we
No.
just
travesty.
call
It's
it
total
large.
BS. For what used now it's like $90, but it used to be $5, for 2,000 calories. And you have to now look at now in the 21st century, the age of nutrient depletion in soil and genetically not
Modified.
natural
Yeah.
manufactured foods, you might be getting more calorically, but when you actually break down nutrients, like actual micronutrients, so vitamins,
Yeah.
minerals, the type of energy you need, you're getting like nothing. You're just getting like this big, it's like someone stuffing you with a pillow and saying, that's cheap, let's just stuff you. And you're like,
Right.
And
The point
and you're not
consumerism and
really getting what you
capitalism.
paid for. You're
the
not
Yeah.
point
getting what you
the
paid
point I
for.
was
No.
getting at, Derek, is when you do eat the healthy green wise or all natural or whatever, you're going to eat less because it fills you more because it's got
Of
high
course.
fiber,
Yep.
which I'm a big fiber fan. I take lots of fiber, lots of probiotics. I mean, my gut health is very important. I always joke I may be overweight, but I've got a healthy gut. And you know, Derek will tell you I have a vitamin cabinet that makes people at the vitamin stores jealous because they're not selling me. But I'm very, we do that. But I hear when you talk about a caloric deficit, what is the average intake of a person calorically on a daily basis? 2,000.
No.
That's what it's supposed to be, but yeah, what they're actually eating is 25, 3,000.
Right.
And they don't
Well,
move.
McDonald's is 2,000 just in one seating.
Yeah,
Sitting.
but
Yeah.
we talked about that, Zach. That's why we look at the BMR. Like, you actually have to know what your body uses every day based on your size and activity, like before you even start anything. And Brian, I'm sure you worked with people on this before too. Like, Zach, obviously, he's a bigger dude than me. He's going to use more calories by doing nothing than I am per day.
Right.
Zach might use 3,000 calories doing nothing. And then if he works out 3,500, I might be 2,300. You start there. You have
Actually, I
to
think my
start there. I
BMR was
mean, I think I
2,700.
think the 2,000. I don't know how that was calculated at some point in time, but probably at some point in time when America ate a more reasonable diet, that probably was kind of a good base point, and it probably is for like normal. Like, I don't know what normal is anymore, right? Everyone's obese, but I guess if
Yeah.
you're 5'10", 180 pounds or whatever, sure, sure. Sure, but again, but when you're counting calories and knowing your body, you don't know till you actually have that baseline, and then you create that plan.
Yep.
So if you do a deficit, does your body go into hibernation and store the
What's
fat?
what is hibernation?
It's where it stores it because it's panicking because you're not feeding enough.
Well, if you starve yourself,
Starvation.
yeah, like Brian. So Brian, if you're used to eating 3,000 calorie, so Zach, Brian, back me up or conflict me. I don't care, but just add to this. I'm just going to create a picture here.
Okay.
If you go from 3,000 and you say your BMR is 2,800 and you work out, so you want to be at a, let's say, a 1 pound a week, 500 calorie a day deficit. You're gonna after working out, you're gonna want to eat 2,600 calories, let's say. Okay, you're fine until you will get to certain plateaus, and you will get to certain points where certain macronutrients will help kind of kickstart those things, the thyroid action and stuff. But it's not really till you get super super like sub 10 where that gets really hard, and you
Right.
have to do extreme things, whether it be fitness, nutrition, or both. But what you may be alluding to, Zach, is if you go from 3,000 to 1,000, absolutely. I think now, Brian, I don't know the technical, so you from here, but I think your stress hormones kick in so much at that point that your body is getting into flight and fight. Let's hold on to what we can. When you have an extreme next day shift, that you go
Right.
from feast to famine, I think your cortisol actually starts saying, stop the
Sure.
press.
Yeah, I think that's what happens
Also,
too.
let's think of historically when people have not been fed food, what happens? They wither away, right?
Yeah.
We've had, unfortunately, lots and lots of examples of that, even in recent times. And someone going from 3,000 to 1,000, they'll lose a bunch of weight, but 2 weeks later, what happens? Normal behaviors or obsessive behaviors around food start showing up, and then what you thought that I wasn't only eating 1,000, you're eating 1,400, 1,800, and you aren't paying attention because you're just hungry, and you forgot that you ate that thing, or you ate this much more, at dinner and you didn't realize it, and then you had this much more at lunch, and all of a sudden you have more calories. So in my experience, it's if you consistently just ate 1,000 calories, you would lose weight pretty rapidly. But would you be able to keep at that rate and that pace to be able to get more down? Because even say Biggest Losers, we saw them. They were at a really high calorie deficit through excessive movements, very low calories. They dropped it like it was hot, but they compromised their metabolism. They
Right.
compromised their body systems. They compromised trying to figure out what a normal lifestyle could look like when they were out on the farm in a sense, and just doing all that, living in a bubble, and they go back to real life and they fall back into other patterns of behavior. So going back to what we talked about in the beginning, it goes back up to here. It's got to change the identity, got to change the mindset, got to understand the reason why of how or how people operate to then give them simple next steps. Going back to again the basics of what we're talking about. That's how you get transformative progress is doing 1% better. Let's do one thing today. Let's do one thing tomorrow. And then we start to build that momentum. Those are things that I have spent 2 decades on because someone would come in to me when I was a personal trainer. Someone would come into me in my gym when I was a gym coach. When I own gyms, someone comes into me now as I'm health coaching them remotely. Where have they been at in the last week or two of their lives? And I have to understand: are they moving forward or are they moving back? Is it where are they at in their mental headspace on being able to leave this phone call with me and actually accomplish the goals that they want
Have
and
you
be
read The
consistent with them?
Slight Edge by Jeff Olson?
I don't know if I've read it, but I'm pretty sure I've come across it through. I like. I'm not a good reader. I mean, I read plenty all day long,
Well,
text machine notes, but
essentially what you're teaching and
I
coaching is
listen.
kind of that basic
Yeah.
fundamental of, like weight loss. When you're gradually losing weight, let's say you're at a 3,000 calorie a week deficit of one pound a week,
Right.
3,500, sorry, right, 1 pound a week.
Yeah.
You're gonna look in the mirror every day, and you're not gonna see that change. But if you look in the mirror today and you're perfectly consistent a year from now, you're gonna
Yep.
have lost 52 pounds per se, right?
100%. Yeah. 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 Right.
So just as I pet peeve when people recommend books, because I always have a stack of 12. It's like, bro, I can't read more. I've got 12. Sorry. I don't have a 13th on deck. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I will say that the theory that supports what you're teaching there would be that basic fundamental book saying you don't
Yep.
get to, big boy status overnight. You get there by being really boring and intentional a
Yeah.
tiny bit every day,
Right.
perfectly consistent in that manner. And that's exactly what weight loss
Right.
is like.
Right. I'll even because we're talk to a lot of business professionals, and I'll tell them, hey, if I made $1 million today, that would be the worst thing ever for me. I don't have the systems, the skill set, the employees, the processing, everything to fulfill on all of that level of value that I would have to provide to that person, that the group of people that bought into me, my service or program or products or whatever, right? They would flood me and I would be bankrupt and super stressed trying to fulfill on it, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I don't have those skill sets. I
Right.
can't lose 50 pounds because I don't have those skill sets. Okay, what's the easiest skill set that we need to do first? Oftentimes, walk more than you did last week, drink more water than you did last week. And those are the two simple places I start most people on to get the process moving. And then we start building momentum and progress that way. And it's so simple, but people don't do it because people are so distracted by silver balls and everything, and they get they get in their own way, and they don't have progress. Then
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, and plus we are in a instant gratification world,
100%, 1,000%
and they see everything on the internet that oh my gosh, I saw this
comparison.
the waist hula hoop thing the other day. Oh, it's
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah,
I mean, but you see
get this
exactly,
core
I'm gonna lose
going.
weight. I lost 40 pounds just doing this. But I just everybody expects they go work out at the gym for a week and they're like, dude, why am I not shredded?
Yeah.
Why don't I look like The Rock? Well, The Rock's been doing it for 30 years.
Let's see. Diet, exercise, consistency, genetics, drugs, trainers. Yep. So you take
Yeah.
your extra 100K this month and you can be The Rock in 10 years.
Exactly.
If you're
Exactly.
lucky. Probably not because you probably don't have the
Uh,
genetics.
I'm home with LeBron
I
James,
I am not I am
and
not
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
are.
Samoan.
yeah, and LeBron has been rumored to spend a good million a year on his body, taking
Oh,
care of his
easily.
body. So
Easily. Why wouldn't you?
yeah,
Why wouldn't you,
right,
right? It's
We
just
right,
like
we
why wouldn't you buy the Alpha Fly 2s for $300 if you were a marathon runner?
right.
Do you want to get injured or do you want to run 5 minutes
Yes, yeah,
faster and save your knees and your back, right?
right.
Cheap tool given the repercussions. Why would you want to eat healthy? Well, because a stroke going to the hospital with Florida insurance is going to cost you 12 grand. Okay.
Yeah,
It's common. It's not hocus pocus. It's straightforward. It's like these are the
yeah,
things that are actually going to save you over time. And when you're a professional athlete or to that caliber or whatnot, it's a different story. That is your investment, your body,
yep,
right?
yep,
But for the average person, I mean, you you have to just take it one day at a time, one tiny little step at a time.
yep,
If someone ever asks me like, "Hey, how do I lose weight? I want to get ripped," and they're totally like someone who's never worked out, never done anything. They don't have any fundamentals. I just look at them and I go, "Starvation." And they laugh. They have the same response, but I go, "Actually, I'm very serious. If you don't know how to count and run at a caloric deficit, you won't. You just should probably move on to a different topic. We're wasting our time at this point.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
100%
that's
agree.
what that's as simple as it is, right? I mean,
Yep. Yep. They
if
won't
you
know how to
know
build a
nothing,
meal. They don't know how to look at a nutrition label. They don't know how to make a simple, better choice at a restaurant that they're going
yeah.
out to eat at, or the summer season's upon us. Events, late nights, Friday, Saturday night get-togethers with friends, or whatever. They just can't. They can't just stay away or not overdo it.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to make it work with your lifestyle to where it's
Yep.
enjoyable, to where a quality of life. You know, when I was doing fitness stuff, eventually when I realized I didn't have the genetics to be anything professionally, I realized that the quality of I enjoyed that quality of life for a long time. I would say
Yeah.
probably good like 12, 13 years. Probably '09 to 22. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed um that discipline scarcity
That
mindset. You know, my
focus.
rule still is today and it was back then and it has been
Right.
for 12 years now. If I'm at work gone from the house, I just don't eat. I don't have time to eat. I'm fasting. I have time to work, run around. I don't have time to poop, pee, eat. Nope. This is my rule. It's really easy. It actually
Yeah, it
helps
is.
me mentally. We talked
Yep.
about this with John a couple weeks, or Ross a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, Zach. But
Yeah.
after a while now you have to pick what your quality of life balance is to where you're enjoying what you're doing,
Yep.
you're making reasonable choices, you don't hate it, and you aren't feeling like you're deprived. And when
Yeah.
you do those sub 10%, those 1,000 calorie diets, you will get to a point, mile 18, where your mind is going to absolutely attack you, similar to when Satan attacks you, Zach. It's the similar thing. Your mind is attacking you to say, please, 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 please go mix up a bowl of oatmeal. Please go get a pizza.
Yeah. No, no.
Please,
Let's
like,
get some frosted flakes, not
and
oatmeal. Forget
there's
that.
nothing but tunnel vision with that. And if that isn't a part of your professional income and your enjoyment, that can be misery too.
Yeah.
See, you have to love it. You have to love what you're doing, and sometimes I'm very convinced that professional athletes and fitness people do love what they're doing when they're doing it. But there's a reason why you aren't an NFL running back for more than 10 years. There is a reason why you're
Right.
not a marathoner,
Right.
as a top performer over age 41.
Yeah.
There's a reason why,
Well,
because
my
you
reason why is I have four kids. Oldest is 15, youngest
exactly.
is 9, three boys and a girl. They
Yep.
take up a considerable amount of my time outside of work. I'm either working or family, and they take up more time. When I was 20, how far am I going to run today? That was the hardest question I had to answer in the day. Now it's like, well, I have some open time. I probably should go work or try and find some money to pay bills because these kids are hungry, and my wife loves to travel. So
What
that's reality.
are you just doing straight coaching now?
Yeah, this is all I do.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% for my whole career. It's just health, fitness, nutrition, lifestyle,
You don't have gyms
helping people.
anymore?
No, this is my home gym here that I'm at, but I realized that I'm way better at talking to people than I was. Not that I wasn't a good coach or trainer. I was very good at that, but those were the skill sets that allowed me to progress into just listening and talking and giving what I would call micro solutions. Each of you, I could give you very simple next step things for a problem that you have in your health, and we could agree on it. Hey, in the next 3 days you're going to do this and this, and then you're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Like I understand that, I listen, I hear, because I've had just so much time talking to people.
Yes. Good. Okay. So you don't do you still train in CrossFit and all that?
I'll do CrossFit workouts here and there. I do basic strength training. I walk a lot. I'm starting to run a little bit more because my oldest, about a week ago, he actually ran faster than me, and I was disheartened.
You cannot let your children ever beat you.
Yeah, I know, I know. Well, I know he
Just so
can
they
sprint
know.
faster than me because he runs soccer and he swims
Oh yeah.
90 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So
My
he's athletic, to say the least.
I remember the first time my oldest son stood up and he was taller than me. And oh, you got a call coming in, Brian. It says you're
We're good.
okay, good. Anyway, it tells me when your recording
Yep.
stops. Anyway, I remember the first time he stood up and he was taller than me. I'm 6'2" and he's 6'4",
Oh
and
man,
I was just like,
that happened this year too.
I was like, I said, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "You want to go, old man?" I said, "I do," and he goes, "I'm just playing, Dad. I'm just playing." Yeah, because they know that that's not something. I will be in a wheelchair in a coma, and I'm still gonna whoop you. It ain't happening in my house. This is
Yeah.
how it is.
Yep.
And the boys have to know that. And it's funny because my middle one, or no, my youngest has he's got a really bad temper, and and he tells me all the time. He's like, I've been really working on my temper because the last time when I punched a wall, you gave me a look, and he goes, you scared me. I thought you were gonna kill me. I was like, dude, it wasn't even in my mind. I just gave you a look like, dude, are you serious? But my
Yeah.
thing is, I don't even get mad at him. I told him, I said, now go watch YouTube and learn how to patch that hole.
Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
okay,
I
here's
did
your
it when I was a
consequence.
kid. My mom was like, stop hitting the plaster, go punch the cement or something. If
Yeah.
you're gonna punch something, go punch a tree. That was her favorite thing.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, so that, but that's funny. I don't
My
know.
second son is now taller. He's 14. He's 6'3", and I
Holy cow!
I admitted that he was taller than me in November. And I was
Yeah, my
always going to be taller than him. I talk so much trash to him about always being taller. Now
well, my
he's taller than
oldest was
me.
a soccer player, and he's really good. I mean, really, really good. He's 28 now, but and he he had a leg that was just like most goalies were scared of. He was a striker,
Oh man,
but he was your typical white
like
kid
a
who was not
rocket.
fast. He was not fast. No, he was
Okay,
not. He would get
okay,
jammed up in the corner and try to do tricks to get out, but but he had a leg that everybody was scared of, and he scored more than everybody else.
yeah,
But I made sure, like when we would practice and stuff, I make sure if he tried to get around me or something, I just tackle him or something, even though that's not allowed.
yeah. Of course.
I prove a point. You're not, And then my middle kid he played football and he was O line. He played O line and D line. He tried, and we were practicing one time, and I mean, he he had full gear on and everything, and I said, "Come on, let's go. Let's see what you got." And he came at me like he was going in, and I just dropped him, and I'm like, "Come on," and he's like, "Okay, you proved your point." So you just gotta do it. Now, my girls, on the other hand, they can be faster, prettier, stronger, whatever. That doesn't phase me. They cannot take the alpha role away from me. But I learned that my dad taught me that actually at a young age, that it doesn't matter how big and bad I got, he was always going to be alpha. And
Yeah.
he also taught me that we weren't buddies until I had my first child. Then we became friends. It was a whole different world. He was now grandpa, so that was the cool thing. But yeah, when I was a kid, I called him buddy one time, and he's like, "I'm dad. I'm not buddy." I'm like, "Oh, my bad.
You-
Sorry."
Being a father, you have to hold the line, because if you let them cross the line, then they'll just manipulate you like crazy.
Yes, absolutely. I had my son and his friend one time. Oh no, it was both my boys. It was my oldest and my middle boy. They came at me and they were like trying to wrestle with me, and I picked them both up over my shoulders and just carried them outside and threw them down in the grass. And I go, "All right, you guys ready?" And they're like, "No, we're not playing. It's not funny." I'm like, "Well, you guys came at me. That's what you get." But when you're what is your typical client? How do you as a coach? Well, how do you get your clients? First of all, is it all word of mouth?
Yeah, I have tons of word of mouth, tons of people listening in. Hey, this guy's talking my language. He resonates with me. I get a lot of outreach that way,
Okay.
and then I'm very active in the socials and everything. Those are usually the ways that I get people, for sure.
What got you on the podcast site that I found you on? Were you just looking to be on shows?
Yeah, yeah. This is what I call the year of the personal brand. I've been doing a very singular route to get clients, and
Right.
that route isn't as clear or as good as it once was. So I've got this route, and I have this route, and I have this route, and then podcasting. Even in the last month, I've been on 12 podcasts, and so I'm
Awesome.
grateful that you guys had me on, and
No,
I
no, I
just
love
need
it.
to speak my truth and help add value to what you guys are doing here. That's one of the reasons why I showed up. You popped up. I looked at your stuff. It made sense, and then I said, "Hey, pick me, pick me." And then what
Was
is
a no
only 3 or 4 days
brainer.
ago? It was a no brainer, right? And in my
Well,
mind, I'm
it is.
thinking about all these no brainer things. I've got so many like simplicity things. Weight loss, it's simple, it's not easy. And I'm here to help make it easy. Or
Right.
movement is energy. You move your body and you get energy. You don't need caffeine, you don't need sugar, you don't need junk, you don't need more food. What else is there? There's the just consistency.
I don't need
How
my
about how
mushroom
about keep
coffee.
your cells hydrated, right? I mean,
Yeah. You drink
you're
some water. You're walking
right.
around like SpongeBob in the desert here. What's going on?
Have you seen the new hydrogen water?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I bought one
yeah,
of them. My wife
yeah,
What
bought
is
it. It adds
hydrogen water? Isn't water H2O? Isn't that
yeah,
what water
it no,
is?
it adds hydrogen to it.
Oh, it's
yeah. It's
is it
H3O.
It works. I don't know how it works, but it adds
what is
hydrogen.
how does it work? What do you
It's
mean? Like it
it's a
gives you more
mach-
energy?
it's a machine that you push a button and it
Yeah,
forms
You know,
more
no, no,
hydrogen.
no,
Anyway,
like,
yeah.
no, but
Explain it
like
more.
I look.
fundamentally,
I
how
didn't
does?
invent the machine. I'll send you the link and you can
How
look.
No, I
does?
don't care about. No, Zach, you're
Yeah,
missing my point. What
yeah.
is the extra hydrogen meant to do for you?
So it hydrates your cells
Here
faster.
comes marketing
Yeah,
101.
marketing 101.
Faster?
Yes, it hydrates you faster. It gets
So
in your body
H3
faster and it stays in your bloodstreams longer. So
to
Lorianne
do
drinks one
what?
every night. Lorianne drinks one every night and it helps her sleep better. Is it a
Well, that's
mental
because
thing?
she's more hydrated because she's drinking water now
Yeah.
and not.
I don't drink one before I go to bed because I'll be up all night peeing, but that's
Yeah, yeah, I got old man bladder here too. Like running this thing down, I'll be up twice tonight.
I drink at least two of these a day and I drink I like water, but it has to have some either a little fizz to it or a little taste.
Yeah,
I drink two of those a day, at least 80.
Soda Stream, bubbly
Yeah,
water, tastes so good.
it does.
Mio.
I actually like
Yeah, but the
what
most machine, the hydrogenating machines, I don't. I think it's just a lot of marketing.
I don't know. I like it. Anyway,
That's
whatever.
okay. It could be
You're
placebo.
allowed to like
Yep,
anything. He's just
yep.
saying that in terms of hydrating a cell faster, the science behind delivering water to your cells. I mean,
Your
let's
body's
just
pretty
start. Let's
smart.
start this. Let's just start here. How long does it take H2O to hydrate your cell? Like, is it like 7 seconds, and H3O does it in five? You know, like what? That's all we're. That's all he's saying is like.
I'll
No, that's
send
all
you.
I'm saying.
I'll
Like
send you
I'm a
the
proponent of doing
infomercial.
what you want to do and what you love
I'll
doing.
send you the
I
infomercial.
am
I have
taking
not
that
sent it
one
yet.
with me. I'm taking
I'm
that one with
actually
me.
Well,
I'm spending a lot of R&D on H40 right
I
now.
just
So
updated it. I'm doing H50.
Oh,
you're gonna H5.
Yeah.
Now Brian's working on the one where you just look at it and it hydrates you.
yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
oh.
Yeah, hey guys,
I
I do
do.
have a patent pending process in the works. I've been working on this for a couple years now, but it's locked in that I'm gonna work out and eat the food, and you're gonna lose weight.
Yes,
It's gonna be locked.
Where do I
I,
yes.
sign?
I'm so
Where
close
do
to
I sign?
developing it.
Where do I sign?
And H60 actually has Cialis too, so it's perfect. It's
I want it so I just water by osmosis, so I'm hydrated by just looking at it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going for.
so Brian,
When I lay in the bathtub.
Bri- Brian,
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't need that
let's
visual. Thank you.
let's hit on some passions here, okay? Let
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
I'm staring at a picture of you flexing with the Hulk at the Arnold Expo. I've been in the
Yeah.
Arnold. It's awesome, man.
Yes.
I'm staring at stuff of you and your
The Hulk
family
like in Lou
traveling all these
Ferrigno.
Oh,
cool
yes.
places. I
Yes.
want to. Well,
Was it Lou
just
Ferrigno?
well,
Uh
no, it's just a
no, it
figurine.
was just an
All right.
oversized Hulk
Oh,
statue
okay.
marketing thing that
All
I
right.
was being
I thought
silly
you
with
meant
my buddy Chris.
Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, not the literal Hulk, but it's just a
New
cartoon.
Age Performance is the
Yes.
brand.
It's a marketing
I
gig.
think they have H70.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Judging
There's some
by judge,
passions.
You're not going to let me live that one down, are
they
you?
have they they eat Clen and Tren hard. You know, have you heard that one,
Yeah.
Brian? Like
Yeah.
you eat clenbuterol to lose weight and let your heart have a heart attack, and then you take a bunch of Trenbolone um, to, to those are the guys where the veins look like they're going to explode and they're in like a relaxed state. And it's like, oh,
Earthworms crawling under their skin.
their liver and like their liver's melting as they speak. Like it's just that's what the figurine looks like in this picture, Zach. Because Hulk's
Yes.
got his
Oh yeah,
Yes.
he's got.
protruding veins. It's a funny thing. So um
Brian.
I thought you
Who's
got
so
Brian?
when you went to the gym. Before you went to the gym, you carved out, and then your veins get all jacked.
nah, humidity and sunlight, man.
I don't I don't know.
If you go, so if you're really like lean and you go into the humid sunlight and you take your forearms like this and you clench your veins will
If you're lean enough.
because
I'm not
you'll
very lean.
vasodilate
Yep.
to a major extreme. But that stuff, man, that carbs can fill your muscle with water. Electrolytes and potassium can balance your water. Different arginine and stuff, and humidity can make your veins dilate. You know, different antioxidants. But I don't know what I'm talking about. This is stupid.
I
I want to know, Brian. You seem to have life figured out in terms of what's important, what's like you know with 4 kids you don't want to be running 50 miles all the time. You know you want to have freedom and travel and be with your family and still
Yep.
incorporate healthy habits and enjoy it. I can tell you smile a lot that you've got to figure it out. So like just
Yeah.
tell us a
Thank you.
little bit about like what your month to month has been like in the last couple of years doing the fitness and traveling and just enjoying your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, life, sun's always shining, even on a cloudy day. Glass is always half full. Type energy, optimism, and opportunity. I'm an opportunist. I live in anticipation. I'm looking forward to the things that are in my future, but I'm even more importantly enjoying the present, right? I'm fully locked in with our conversation because this is all we have is right now. It's us three talking, communicating, having a good time. So those are a little bit of Brian's a hard worker. Brian plays, works hard, but plays harder. And some of the things that you're sharing are in the last 9 to 10 years. So we moved into this space. This barn is, I moved in here to personal train out of in the beginning when I left my gyms to start my own actual professional career back in 2015 was when I left the gyms and started 100% just on my own. But 2010 was when I really started my own business in a sense with the gyms itself. Since then, travel is a huge part. My wife is a huge, you know, pragmater of that situation. She loves to travel. But since then, we've gone to all 50 states. We've
Nice.
slept in 49 of them. That's the goal for our families to sleep in every state. I've driven tens of thousands of miles all over the US. We've flown even more, obviously. The only state, take one guess. What
Hawaii.
state haven't we? No, no, no. That's too obvious. It's not one of those. It's not Alaska. We did that. We went
Oh,
to Hawaii on our Grand Canyon trip. So
so what's the one state you haven't slept in?
we've
It's
been there, but we didn't sleep in it. It's one
why
state. It's not on
we're
the
gonna
east side.
we're gonna need just a little bit of hint if it's we're
Yeah,
talking Southwest.
it's gonna be. It's not on the east side
Kansas.
of the country. No,
Oklahoma.
no, no, no. We've been there, done
Is
those.
is it middle? Is it middle
No,
country?
no, it's more west.
Is it
California.
Southwest or Northwest? Northwest?
Yeah.
Oregon or
Is
Washington.
it Washington, Oregon, or
No,
Idaho?
we did Washington and Oregon on our Alaskan trip. Come on, guys. It's Idaho.
Why not
We went to
Idaho?
well, we drove from Cleveland area to Yellowstone. I needed to print off my fourth grade park pass from one of my kids had a fourth grade park pass that you got for free, and then you could get into Yellowstone for free with that piece of paper. We drove into Idaho to get the paper. So we're in Idaho, but we didn't spend the night in Idaho. So technically we're -1. Then we went into Yellowstone and had a blast. We stayed in the Tetons. We saw bears, saw moose. We saw like just the Yellowstone's amazing
Yep.
in and of itself. It's another planet. And then we drove back up through the North Dakota. We came through across South Dakota wise, and really the Black Forest and the Badlands. Wow,
Hmm.
Did you
just
go
that
to
was
did you
Martian
go to Mount
territory, and
Rushmore?
Have you ever
we had a
thought you
blast.
wanted to just walk out as far as you could of the Badlands, go down into the gorge and see what kind of like cannibals actually live in there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
I
something
mean,
in there,
it's have you
not
been there,
human.
Zach?
Yes.
It's
I've been
wild, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I've been to every state except for Alaska and Hawaii.
how has there not been a
Nice.
horror movie made
Oh, right.
based
There should
based
be.
on
Yeah.
finding a cannibal civilization in the middle of the Badlands? Like,
Yes,
You
because
I
guys
would agree.
do you stay when you travel, do you guys camp or do you guys stay in hotels?
That was the first we did. We glamped. That was the trip. We went from Ohio across to. We went to my sister in law lives in Nebraska, so we went straight to go see her in Omaha area,
Yep.
and then we worked our way up to South Dakota, drove across, went to Wall Drug because you have to. There's like a
oh yeah,
thousand miles
Yep.
of billboards saying free
yes,
ice
It's just
or
kind of like the south of the border.
yeah, yeah, free ice, but you got to pay for the water or something. So we stopped there, and then we went to the Badlands. Then we went into. Then we just made our way into the Yellowstone. But we're in an RV, all six of us in an Airstream. Think a Dodge Sprinter type. So we're driving, and I'd park the car on our camp spot and pull out the tents and set it up for my kids. My two oldest would sleep out there, and then we'd have the big bed for mom and I, and then the rear captain's chairs would fold down for the younger two, and that's how we would camp. And we just prefer going to a hotel, having the
yeah.
free breakfast, and
Did
sleeping
you
in a
did you
bed.
camp?
And
Did you camp in the Rocky Mountains at all?
yeah, we did. We
Did
were.
you wake up to 30 degrees?
Oh
Oh
my
yeah, in June. Yeah, we were in the
God.
Tetons. it was 30 degrees in June. We were freezing. We were on an air mattress.
This was his conversion point, Zach. Trust me, I've done it too. You go to sleep in the Rockies. You could be the Tetons, the Bighorns, the Rocky Mountains, whatever. Okay,
Been there.
it right. So 70, 80 degrees. It's a
Yep.
summer day. Mountains is a nice cool breeze. You go
Yeah,
to bed. You wake up, and
in the middle of the night.
it's June, and you have two hoodies on. You're wrapped in your
Uh-huh.
sleeping bag,
I'm
and you
I'm
are
I'm
dying.
I am lighting the fire, trying to keep the fire in the little stove
That's what
thing.
my parents said.
So
We are not a high class family, but we are done camping.
so
Yeah.
we in 1982 and 1984, my parents were school teachers, and we had a Volkswagen pop top camper,
All right.
and we went to every state except for Alaska and Hawaii. I've been to all of them at least twice. I've stayed in every state park, every
Awesome.
national
Yeah,
park.
we've done so
My
many.
parents were very big proponents. They did not believe in the KOAs or anything like that. So we had to stay in a state or national
We
park.
stayed in two of those, and we are like, "Wow, this is a cult."
Yeah, and they got a dirty swimming pool, and it was it was nasty. But anyway, and when you're a kid, and you're I don't know, I don't remember how old I was in '84. I was in my teens. This is horrible. This is the worst thing in the world. And now my wife and I are like, we want to get an RV and travel the country. I don't care about the rest of the world. I really don't. There's enough
Yeah.
America to see for me. And
If we were all state countries, there'd be 50 of them, and they're all would be different from one another, and even in dialect and
and it's
operations and
it's true. Yeah,
environment.
everybody talks differently, but I have
Yeah,
different places that I love more than other places.
of course,
There's
of
some
course.
states that I don't care to ever visit again because
Yeah, agreed.
my wife's from Iowa. There's really nothing in Iowa or
Unfortunately,
Kansas or Nebraska. So when you said you landed in Omaha, did you go up straight to Sioux City to get over to South Dakota?
yeah.
'Cause my
Yeah.
wife's from Sioux City.
Okay.
So the cool thing about Sioux City is, and this was a kind of neat thing, you stand in where the Chief Warhawk is. You're in 3 states. You're in South Dakota,
Oh
Nebraska, and Iowa
yeah.
all at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we went to Mount Hood,
Okay.
Washington,
Yeah.
or is it Oregon? Anyway, it's up there, and I skied. It was summertime, and we got to ski because there was still snow up at the top. And
Yeah.
they have a lodge up there, and I don't know if it's still there, but and if you ever go to Mount Hood, get the chili. It is the best chili
Ah,
hands down I've ever had in my
Mount
life.
Hood chili.
My one of my favorite places was for a park was uh Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah. We went.
Spectacular light show they did.
Yep. Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yep.
Carlsbad Caverns is amazing, and watching the bats come out when they go
Yeah.
to Mexico to feed.
Yeah. We have
Um,
not been to Carlsbad, but we went
they got these
to we
vampire
did
bats.
Austin in Texas with the bats that live under the bridge, and we did that. That was our
And
kickoff
they come
to
out in
this.
a funnel.
Yeah,
You can
yeah, they
sit on
come
them.
out for like 45 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Thousands of them at a time.
And they're going to
45 minutes
Mexico.
straight.
They
It's
feed on the
crazy.
animals down in
Yep.
Mexico, which is kind of funny. I'm like, why do they not? Where we were, I was asking them why don't they come here? They're like, because the animals are more free down there. That they just and there's more. So they
Yeah.
go down there. We've been to Mexico, been to Canada.
Yeah.
Um, some states I love, but I couldn't live there. Obviously, in the winter, Wyoming,
Yo, man, I
Montana,
agree. Yeah.
Montana. So you
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about the
Ohio.
Tetons.
Uh,
Well, quick question: where did you go to college in Ohio?
Akron University.
Okay, my dad went
Just
to
hometown.
Bowling Green,
Yeah,
so
okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Same cluster of
I got to
universities.
visit it. I saw his fraternity house and the Heinz
Yeah.
ketchup factory there, but we went to. You were talking about the Tetons. We went to the Grand Tetons, but in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And my mom and dad pulled over and said, "All right, there's the Grand Tetons. Go climb it." It was I call it small Teton. It was the base. And we went
Yeah.
running up the hill and everything, and we found like these rocks you could slide down on your butt,
Oh.
and I lost my wallet. I had bought this wallet in Cherokee, North Carolina, from the Indians that they allegedly made it from
Yeah.
the hide of a buffalo or whatever. Some
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Little kid, I was buying it. My mom's like, "Oh boy, look, it says made in China right there." But anyway, I don't. It didn't say that, but they ripped the labels out, I'm sure. But the funny thing is, me and my dad went back up and we found my wallet. So that's
Oh,
like, yeah. I happened
Nice.
to slide down the same rocks. I actually slipped and fell and slid down, and there it was
There it
right on the ground.
was.
Yeah, I mean, we had
Uh,
such a blast. I mean, Yellowstone is amazing.
yeah.
I did not like the commercial side of Yellowstone,
Oh,
or was
sure.
it where like the big RV stay and people got their couches and TVs out, and you're like, that's not camping.
Yeah.
Stop it. You
Yeah.
know, my mom loves Texas. She loved Texas. Big Bend was her favorite park.
yeah.
We did a lot of, but here's the funny thing. I ended up here in Florida 30 years ago. Went to Disney World for the first time. I've been
Okay.
to Florida with my
Well,
parents.
I've
I
been
lived
to
yeah.
Disney World way too many times. I don't. I'm actually. Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
Too many times.
but I've been to
It's a good
Disneyland
thing.
in California, but I'd
Yeah.
never been to Disney World in Florida. And I grew up in Jersey, and I'm like, why am I going to
I,
Disneyland in California?
yeah.
And we've never been to Disney World in Florida. And then I
Yeah.
move here, and I mean, you find out that Disneyland could fit in the Disney World's parking lot. So it's,
Yep.
but
Yep.
anyway, it is what it is. But my dad was not a big fan of the typical tourist spots. We
Uh,
happened to go to Disneyland because we had some friends out there and they took us. They we had tickets.
ah.
Let's go. It wasn't like my parents are like, we're going to Disney. Like, we weren't
Yeah.
like the family vacation. We're going to Wally World. No,
Right.
we weren't.
Right.
And we did go to Knott's Berry Farms out in California. We went to Universal.
We're in
Um,
San Diego, and we
San
tried to
Diego.
get
Oh,
up to go to Disneyland, and it just wasn't in the timeline.
well,
So,
Anaheim's that's pretty far from San Diego, isn't it?
Not
uh,
really.
no, it's within a reasonable drive, outside of traffic.
If it's the wrong side, if it's the wrong time of day, it's 4 hours.
Yeah,
If it's the right time of day, it's like an hour 20. I
yeah,
think
Oh,
yeah,
I thought Anaheim was more closer to LA.
it
yeah,
is.
It
yeah,
is,
It
right. Yeah,
yeah,
is.
yeah, that's right.
yeah.
We
It
drove
was
up from
changed.
San Diego to
Yeah,
Anaheim to
it's
we
not
were we
unreasonable.
I don't remember the distance. Like I said, I was a kid. I would ride shotgun with my dad, so I
we
didn't
did it.
really
We
know
did San Diego to Anaheim to go to Disneyland for the day
Yeah,
a few years ago, and we went up on like a Sunday morning,
yeah.
and it
I
was only like an hour and a half tops or whatever, and
yeah.
we freaking did
San
that
Diego.
all day till it closed and got on a flight like 4 hours later at LAX, and it was
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
San
that's
Diego
what's
is
up.
amazing. I like
Yep.
San Diego, but one of the
San
coolest
Diego's
things
beautiful.
um, that I thought was really cool was the driving up the Pacific Coast Highway
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, we
and
we
then
do want
getting
to
up
do
there.
that.
So,
We
like
drove
for
down
me,
from Seattle
okay,
to Sunnyside, Oregon, and Tillamook. And my wife almost, if she could have found a flight out of San Francisco, we would have went even farther down, but we couldn't, and we were running
did
out of
you?
time. We had already been out for about 2 weeks on an Alaskan cruise as well.
Yeah.
My wife, oddly enough, that was the most interesting air flight that we did. We flew from Cleveland to Toronto, Toronto to Vancouver. She got
Mhm.
all six of us first class flights seats.
Wow.
We're like, awesome. We're just lounging and having a blast. It was quite
And you did an
quite
Alaskan
interesting.
cruise.
Yeah. Then we went into an Alaskan cruise, and then we
That's my next goal. I'd like to do an Alaskan cruise, like
yeah,
the
it's
first
worth it.
UK one.
Yeah,
It's
we really enjoyed that.
yeah. But what I really liked was in Northern California is like a different country.
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
different
Yeah,
state.
Northwest is amazing.
But did you go to the Sequoia National Forest?
No, we didn't get to those.
Oh
Right, we
man,
need to go
I
to the
got a
redwoods, the
picture.
sequoias.
I
Yeah,
got a picture of us driving our camper through one of the trees, where they cut it out and you could pull
yeah,
through and they take a picture of it.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this country's got so much.
Does
And then you go back east and you hit the Rockies and you're in Colorado and
yeah.
you're up in the mountains and it's
We
just
did a Denver to
ridiculous.
Moab trip for about 5 days. Was up in the Rocky Mountain Estes Park, and then we were sled riding up there, ice skating, and just bopping around the
Right.
Red Rum hotel up there, the Shining, and then drove on down to. This is interesting. So we driving through the Rockies, great on the way down. On the way back, I was really worried we were going to get stuck in a snowstorm, but we get to Moab and we go to Arches, love it. We're going to we go to the license plate, the Utah license plate arch, and we're about maybe 41, 42 states in at this point. we're walking back from the arches, and my third son Maxwell says, "Hey, after he's 11 now. This was probably 3 years ago. He's probably 8ish or something. After we're done with the 50 states, why don't we do all 7 continents?" And I look back at him. What? Well, like, okay, you're raising the bar on us, and well, shoot, yeah. So we're done with Europe. We're actually going to Paris and Greece in a couple weeks in June.
When you do Europe, do you guys just drive around, or do you just?
We haven't. We did London. We're gonna fly in to do a Greece cruise in Greece. We're gonna go to Paris as a family. My wife and I had a 2-week Mediterranean cruise back on our second honeymoon that we bopped around to all the major cities. We haven't driven through Europe. That'll be an adventure at some point. We did an African safari and we went through
Oh
the
wow!
pyramids and all that last year, and that was ridiculous. We've got our sights set on the Galapagos, Japan, Australia, Antarctica, Thailand, or somewhere similar for Asia. So those are some of the upcoming adventures that await us in the next few years as our
You
kids
need to do
before our kids graduate.
you need to do on the road podcasting.
Yeah.
Do a
Oh
travel
man, the
podcast.
stories that I could tell.
Oh,
There's so many.
if I could remember half of the stories from 82 and 84. Oh, so mom and dad were school teachers. We spent 8.5 weeks on the road.
Oh
Right.
wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And my dad, one of the weeks we would stay, he would be able to write it off because he would do a workshop. And one year we stayed in Northern Arizona for university. The trip before, we were in Arkansas. When we were in Northern Arizona University, it was 84. The 84 Olympics were about to happen. At the
Okay.
college, the West German track and field team was staying at the college and practicing on Northern Arizona University. So I got to
Okay.
meet them all. Obviously, you're
Yeah.
a kid, you don't know these ginormous women, the shot putters and stuff. You're like, oh my god, that lady can crush
Yeah.
it, right? But they were so cool. They gave us little pin flags and everything, and gave my parents tickets, and we went to the Olympics in
That's awesome.
'84. I do remember this. Where they held the Olympics in Los Angeles was pretty much where they filmed Boys in the Hood,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
not a neighborhood you would probably not go check out. But we went down there to the stadium, and we got to see the Olympics, and it was
That's
crazy.
pretty
I mean,
wild.
like stories like that, you don't think that was no big deal. And now you're just like, holy crap, I was
That's
at
a
the
pretty
Olympics.
good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a packed stadium, and it's track and field going on. There's like 18 events going on, so I don't even know what I'm watching, and everybody's screaming and cheering, and I don't
Right.
even think we stayed very long, but it was still that we got to say we were there. And then we went up to Derek's beloved state of Michigan, and they drove over that bridge that, if I ever drive over it again, it'll be too soon. What is it? The
Mackinac.
Mackinac, yeah,
Yeah, I love that place. I got a good story on there too, on that island.
over the upper peninsula, the UP.
Oh, that we went to Pictured Rocks, Miners Beach, one of my favorite places. Miners Beach, Artist Point in Yellowstone, North Shore, Oahu, swimming with
Hmm.
the sea turtles on the last night. There's
Derek,
some
you've been to Hawaii,
gems.
right?
I've been to almost every single thing Brian has said, so I
Beautiful.
totally share your sentiment. Yes, we actually adopted a sea turtle on North Shore on
Nice.
where they come up to just sit in the
Yeah.
sun and lay and
Yeah.
stuff.
Did you name the
They
Yeah.
come out,
daughter?
the volunteers come out and they
Uh-huh.
rope it off, and then the
Yep.
stupid people try to touch him, and you got to fight them
Yeah.
off. And
Right. Like don't touch them.
um,
Just enjoy.
but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's that's something we're
There's
big into traveling too, and it's just
yeah.
kind of the greatest education you can get, and the greatest
100,000%.
cultural.
Well, it was funny
So
because then my parents went in
Yep.
'92 without me and my sister because we were growing up. I was working. I was on the job, and they went to Alaska. They drove to Alaska and spent the whole summer there. And my dad said he would have never come back if it hadn't gotten cold. He said he just couldn't deal with the cold. It was too much. But
Yeah.
and it was like it was August, and he's like it was cold, you know. But he was there for opening salmon season,
Oh yeah, we missed
And
that
he's
when
a
we went.
fisherman, so he got his
Yeah,
license and he went, and he's like, you could have literally, you didn't need any, you just drop the hook in
yeah,
the water and bam, you're nailing them.
yeah.
And
And you're right next to the bears as they're getting their feast, and they don't even care that
no,
you're
no,
there.
no. He's like the wildlife that, like, he's like just sitting there fishing, and the wildlife game and the wardens were on there watching everybody,
Yeah,
because if you're a native Alaskan or an Eskimo or Native American from Alaska, you can fish any way you want, harpoon, spear, whatever, whatever. You could reach
yeah,
in and grab it with your hands, and but if you weren't, you had to get a license and you could only use rod and reel.
yeah,
And my dad said they were everywhere, and he got to talking to one, and he's like, watch, and all of a sudden there was a rustle, and a moose comes out and just starts drinking out of the water, and he's like, this 1,000-pound moose is standing there, and he's like, yeah,
yeah,
they'll come out. And it was just spectacular. Like, it's stuff you don't see in Jersey. And like, I grew up in
yeah,
the woods in Jersey. Like, I didn't grow up, everybody, like, I laugh. The first time I took Lori and my wife LA up there, I she's like, uh, are we really still in New Jersey? Because what is this? And I'm like, yeah, I don't live in the concrete jungle like everybody thinks. We grew up in the the woods. But I mean, that's cool, and we could talk about this for hours. We wanted to get you on the show so you
yeah,
can talk about your fitness journey. Do you want to promote your coaching, please, or would you promote your coaching, please?
yeah.
Um,
Sure.
I know Derek's got to go. He's an old man. He's got to go to bed soon. So
It's bed by time.
No, we're
Hey,
actually we're leaving in 2 days, so I just got a lot of stuff I gotta roll.
yeah, he's going on a cruise. Listen, he's like
nice.
acting. Oh, we're leaving in a few days. We're going on a cruise.
Where are you headed?
Hello, folks.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna make that long 50-minute drive to Port Canaveral to hop on the brand new Disney Treasure. Tell your wife so she can
Yeah.
drool.
She was in the Bahamas about a week ago.
She's probably already been on it, right?
She was I don't was she on the Dream or the Wonder or the Wish? I don't. She was literally on a Disney cruise
Yeah,
about 2 weeks ago on spring break, rolling
I
through
yeah.
the
the
Bahamas and
first and
stuff.
only cruise I've been on was on Norwegian. I think that's
Yeah,
what Norwegian.
yeah,
And we were
yeah.
on the Majesty of the Sea or something, and we
Sure.
pulled into the Bahamas.
Yep.
And I was up at like 6 a.m. as we were pulling into the dock, walking the dock, and I was walking the deck. It was just so
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
to watch the boat pull in. And we parked next to this Disney cruise line that made us look like a freaking canoe compared. I mean, it's ginormous. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is ridiculous. Just stop
yeah.
it.
Disney ships are not usually like
Yeah.
the
We
big
we
ish.
were on a Royal Caribbean. They call them the like the iconic Utopian of the Sea. We were
Yeah,
on that in August. It's mammoth. It's just
yeah.
so it's a
Maybe
city
it was Royal
floating.
Caribbean because ours we were on the Majesty of
Yeah.
the Sea,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, probably. That sounds
but
a bit more
they
familiar.
retired. It was its last. We weren't on its last journey, but it was part of its last season that we
Yeah,
went
yeah,
on it because
yeah.
it was small, so they were retiring it. And I was like, this is a big boat. And then I pull up next to this freaking Disney ship, and I'm just like, holy Moses. But now they just released one that's like the largest one in the
Yeah.
water is part of I want to say
The Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oasis of the Sea or something, or
Yeah, something
yeah.
crazy. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean it's just all spectacular. But
It
okay.
is. Ah,
So D-Rex has got to get out of here. But we want to thank you for being on.
yeah,
Tell me about
appreciate the
your
time.
how can people find you if they want to coach with you? I may even want to reach out to you. I'll bet you a discount for having you on the show.
Yep, yep. Well, number one, if you've been struggling with weight, you've tried the things, you've done the things, and you haven't actually talked with someone about it to get a streamlined process of what would work best for you in your life and situation, it might be worthwhile to take a peek and check me out. My website, brianparana.com, but even better, I have a email sequence 30 tips in 30 days. Simple, easy, actionable tips that you can do. And even if you only did 50% of them, you're still going to be significantly better off in 30 days from that sequence. I spent a lot of time, energy, effort
Beautiful.
researching it and putting it together, and most importantly keeping it simple. That's that because everyone's overly whatever, right? All this incoming stuff, so we have to keep things as simple as possible. So that's what I would do, and I'll share the link with you guys. You can jump
Yeah,
on the
please.
email list, and that's a really easy way to get a lot of value from me. And then further check me out. My socials are Coach Brian Parana. Pretty simple. I'm on all of them. So
We'll post your links
yeah,
in
thank
Yeah,
our
you.
we'll post
description and
everything. Make sure you
everything.
send
So
me everything
Oh
on
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, cool.
Send it over, and guys,
Yeah,
thanks for being on the
it's a
show.
lot of
And
fun.
yeah, we'll have you again. I am actually wanting to do. I had this in my mind, Derek. I haven't even talked to you about it yet. I'd like to have a live show and have all of our guests on and see if we could just do a big freaking just people talk to them and
it's
uh,
gonna no one's gonna get a word in.
yeah, especially if I'm talking. Or I'm sorry if you're talking. That's more like it.
I'm just gonna sit like this.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great. No, I would love to have it where people come on and ask questions like through the live chat and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, because we could have you on with Coach Abby. She's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
We
Yep.
I met Abby at the Podfest and she's awesome. She's near and dear to me. She was one of our first guests. So,
It's
but hey,
awesome.
Coach Brian, thank you for being on.
Yeah.
Guys, check him out on all his socials. We'll post his stuff on the YouTuber on the interwebs. We'll post
Appreciate
it
it.
all.
And I'll share it to my
We
crew as
Yes.
well.
Well, I'll get you the link over as soon as my editor, our beloved Laura, takes care of everything. We
All
will
right.
not be on next week because D-Rec will be on a
On the
cruise.
cruise.
Oh, I think I have a guess for next week. Dadgummit. Oh well.
So you can still do a show.
No, it's Brooke because I need her on with you, the insurance. Anyway, I'll figure it out.
Book it.
Book it. Will you be back by Thursday?
No,
So get a
we can do
satellite.
Monday or Tuesday.
We'll get you one of them Tesla satellites and link up, and we'll Starlink.
I'll have unlimited Wi-Fi. I always do.
Said
I
it
gotta
was
work.
terrible on the ship.
Huh?
Didn't you say it was terrible on the ship?
It can be. It just depends.
All right, we'll figure
But
it
the
out.
newer ships have better.
We will figure it out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
All
once again,
right.
special thanks to our
Yep.
guest. Everybody, thanks for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. You guys are awesome, and we can't wait to see you soon.
Yay.
All right, they can shut up too. All right, guys. As always, thank you and peace.
Peace.
Yeah.